Yes. Good evening and welcome to the special meeting of council for December 22nd, 2025. Good evening, bonne soirée. Bienvenue à notre réunion de conseil pour le 20 décembre. I will open the meeting this evening with our land acknowledgement. Je souhaite prendre un moment pour souligner l'important territoire sur lequel nous sommes rassemblés. The municipality of West Nipissing respectfully acknowledges that we are located on the homelands of the Anishinaabe peoples on the traditional territory of the Nipissing, Temagami, and Dokis First Nations, covered by the Robinson-Huron Treaty. We honor and recognize their historical connection to the land and value their significant contributions in shaping and strengthening our communities. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility towards reconciliation and improving our understanding of local Indigenous people and their cultures. Number 2 on the agenda, declarations of pecuniary needs. Councillor Nicol.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The 7 portion of the budget.
Okay, thank you. And the paperwork is with our clerk. Thank you very much. Next, adopt the agenda.
It is moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Larrabee. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council special meeting held on December the 22nd, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Okay, questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, we move on to new business 4.1, Mayor's presentation of the 2026 municipal operating and capital budgets. You will have received a copy of the mayor's budget on Friday afternoon. It was also posted simultaneously on our website. This budget reflects the work that we have done throughout December. We have had almost 3 hours each budget meetings where we discussed the staff presentation of the budget, and the budget that I'm presenting as the mayor's budget for 2026 is a reflection of the discussions had among council members. I bring this forward for your review and hopeful approval. The process, of course, of the budget has changed significantly with the introduction of the strong mayor legislation by the province. And I'm very thankful to our staff and proud of the process that we undertook to make sure that we remained had a very diplomatic approach to the budgeting process, despite the legislation that's been introduced. The process for this evening is I will open the floor for any questions or proposed amendments on the budget that's been presented here. Any amendments to be considered do have to be supported by a majority resolution, like a resolution and majority vote of council. And in the spirit of this council, if there are any proposed amendments that come through that have a majority support of council, I will not exercise my veto power on any of those amendments. If there are no amendments that are brought forward this evening, there is a resolution available, as has been discussed, that is in the agenda for this evening to shorten the amendment period. Under the legislation for the Strong Mayors Act, the amendment period for members of council is 30 days from the issuance of the budget. So that would be 30 days from Friday when the budget was first shared with you. And council, in order to expedite the process, has the ability by resolution to shorten the amendment process. So if we have a mover and a seconder at that point, we can discuss what that shortened period might be. And with no further amendments, the budget would be used. Did I cover that okay? Okay, so with that, you did receive the papers on Friday, and I will open the floor for questions or comments on any of the specifics of the budget that's been presented to you. Councillor Rivard.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I guess one question I have, which I asked you briefly before, got a pretty good answer, but I think I was just wondering, I noticed from 2 years ago, our equipment budget for fire services is about 100,000 less than the past 2 years. I just thought maybe that the discussion to make sure we can buy those trucks this year. Is there maybe a need to lower the need of new equipment? Like it's some equipment that we can push off if that like is time an issue to purchase these things is kind of something I just wanted to bring to light. I just wanted.
I would ask Ms. Craddock to address it.
I'll address it, but certainly, Chief, will ask you. So in the line that's labeled as capital expenditure equipment, for the fire, it does involve both the fleet and, that we consider, equipment. So the SCBA's, compressors, things like that. If you're looking at the capital schedule.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're looking at the capital schedule on page 45 of the recently released budget for the equipment in that section, this part of the fire equipment has not been the difficulty in the purchasing. Absolutely, we've got a fairly good schedule now on the turnover and the chief has been procuring and moving through this process each year. You'll see it's not in the mayor's budget, but in our some of our discussion documents that we had provided for you, you would see the fire reserve, both the fire mark reserve and the equipment reserve are depleted almost to zero. So there's absolutely a lot of activity going on in the equipment portion. And the fleet portion, it absolutely has been challenging, Councillor Rivard. And when we were discussing the fire fleet, as council is aware, there's 3 pieces of fire equipment that the chief and I are finalizing RFQs for now, that we hope that council will see the approvals in the new year with those pieces of equipment. And there was only 1 new piece scheduled for this year, plus a light vehicle, I believe. And absolutely, so the chief did talk to the council about why we need to continue to replace vehicles, the age of our vehicles, the difficulty in getting repairs on fleet that's 25 years old. He also did indicate that, if council's wish was to completely hold off, he could buy. Although again, at our last meeting, we talked about the fact that those first 3 are going to come to council. We'll have an idea of what those costs actually are before we go out on this 4th one, so that if the cost on those 3 vehicles comes in much higher than was anticipated at the time, because the process has been so long, there is funds in the reserve to still go ahead with the 3 that are already approved, and that before we make the 4th, we will close off those 3. So yes, absolutely, there's been some challenges on the procurement of the fleet portion of things. On the equipment portion of things, it's a budget that has been well spent each year.
Thank you very much. Other questions or comments? Councillor St. Louis?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the previous workbook, if you will, that we received, we had all the dedicated reserves, but they're not in here. So I know we spoke about moving certain ones here, certain ones there, and working on that. Are we going to be getting the same idea of the reserves, like a list of the reserves at a future time, or?
I believe when I had that discussion with Ms. Craddock and Mr. Pilon, with those reserves, they actually, to move that money around actually has to be done by resolution. So while the discussion was, oh, let's close this and move this here, let's close this and move this here, individually, those will come back to council as resolutions like it, because they are existing dedicated reserves. They can't be closed and moved without that. They can't be done within the budget process. It's actually a slightly separate process, which will be coming back in the first couple of meetings of the year to do those.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I kind of understood that. However, when we do that, are we gonna get another list like we got in the previous handbook of where everything is?
Absolutely, I can do this is what it looks like before, this is what it's gonna look like after all the transfers are done, so then you'll have the summary of all the reserves again.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank
And
you.
that paperwork can be provided with all those resolutions when they come to council. Is that,
Fantastic, yeah.
does that satisfy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, I am looking around, I'm seeing none. Are there any members of council that wish to formally propose any amendments to the budget as presented at this time?
Actually, can I just ask?
Yeah, oh, sorry, Councillor Rivard has one additional question, or
Sorry,
maybe two, or.
We were looking at the services earlier in the original package. Looking at total material supplies and rents at 2.5 million. Air's package is 2.34 million. So did that entire three quarters of a percent? You know how we went from 3.06 to this 2.85. Is it completely out of community services? Because that number has changed.
No, I believe that what has happened there is that is likely the apportionment of the insurance costs across those departments. So because community services holds so much of the facilities, they would have a larger than average portion of the cost savings that we're seeing on the insurance. And so when the initial book was provided, it was based on the historicals on the insurance, and then we had confirmation of the savings, and Ms. Craddock went back in and apportioned the cost savings on the insurance to the different department budgets. So
That's correct. Yep.
So that's where I'm.
watch out, Ms. Craddock, I'm coming.
Thanks. And so that's what I'm kind of thinking, like, shouldn't we be taking all that insurance savings and just using it to offset our tax? Like, so now we're $68,000 less than what we budgeted last year. Wouldn't it be smart to just keep it flat? And then, yes, it'll end up at 3.1%, but we're actually, it's long term. This is probably the smarter thing to do than to just completely put all of that insurance savings here, because we're not going to get that.
Well, I think what we've done with that money is that, the cost savings were moved into reserves specifically around the community services, reserves for capital. So ongoing, like long-term, the cost savings that we're getting with the new insurance provider, will likely continue. I mean,
Yeah.
based on our,
Claims.
claims history, and everything, you'll have your regular kind of set increases per year. But this is the new baseline for the insurance cost based on the new provider. And because we were faced with, what we know are significant capital investments in community services, so the Minnehaha Wharf, the Goulart Park redevelopment, and, solutions in regards to the Vernon Municipal Building, it was determined that if we put it there, we could offset some of the need for financing, because we know that we have a heavy year of community services capital projects ahead of us. And so that's the savings that you realize on the operating side in these different departments, has been moved over to capital to kind of try to, mitigate what our need for financing will be on those projects.
Yeah, I guess for myself, it would just be the 2.85 seems low when we're looking at all these things. I get that that's something that, I don't even know if the majority agreed on that, or 2.85, or if it was just something that was brought up and then we went this way. But it makes me wonder, like, with knowing all these projects coming in, it's 2.85 what we should be striving for. I understand we're at this point, but I would have much like more seen it above the 3, knowing what we're facing in the next decade. So.
Okay, Councillor Larrabee?
Thank you, Trevor. I'm kind of leaning toward what he's saying because of what you're all saying, because of the ask that we had last meeting about this group that wanted to have pickleball, and we have to resurface or asphalt some areas. That could be one place that we could invest. That would be very, how can I say that? Ça sera pour les gens. So it would be a step forward, trying to accommodate everyone's ask.
See if there's any other comments on on the 2.85 versus the original, I believe it's 3.06 was the original amount that was proposed in the staff budget. So Councillor St. Louis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Obviously, I'm gonna reiterate what I said the first time around. I understand that we need to fix stuff and there's money there to fix stuff. There's gonna be grants that will be able to apply to fix stuff. However, for me, taxing our residents and not providing solutions is not the way to do it. And once again, as we so often do, our staff provided us with some information, provided us with a budget, provided us with something. And here we are now at the last second, we want to change our mind.
Mhm.
I 100% disagree with the whole conversation. The staff worked hard to get it to 2.85. And I believe we should honor what the work that they've done and leave it at 2.85. And next year, if we're here, if we're successful or run for office again, then at that point in time, let's not wait till the last minute to say, hey, I'm not okay with the 2.85. I'm not okay with what the staff are presenting us. All that we could have done 2 weeks ago when they presented it to us. We knew that day that here's what they're taking out, here's what we're doing, here's what's happening. That's when it should have happened. I'm sorry, my opinion is, and I was a firm believer at the time that even 2.85 for me is a little high than what I want, but I'm happy with the 2.85. And I think that's where it needs to stay.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? You can't, yeah, Councillor Larrabee?
Yes, please. Thank you. One thing the staff did present to us, the first time was 3.1 or 06. Yeah, and so that was that initial presentation was it. There is a price to pay to try to be the cheapest municipality. And we are in the cheapest municipality to live in, but there's a price to that. Okay, people cannot get what I'm totally, I would like to have it at zero. But people need to do something. And they need to, if they want to play pickleball. They've been here for many, many years. They still didn't get it. So it would be nice for them to see that they're paying tax, but they're getting something for it. But there's a price to that. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would,
Yeah, Councillor Lilloye.
just a rebuttal, just because I felt like it was a bit, last second saying this. Well, there is a mentality around the room where everybody wants something as well, right? So you're speaking Patchway Hall, Councillor Farrell Avenue to Lac, I'm speaking Goulard Park, speaks River Valley. But it's something if we keep asking for more stuff, but then every single time a budget comes in, we just say, no, we want it under this number. Like, I understand it is a little last second, but sometimes too, when you come to think and you look at the budget, right, it makes you kind of come back to this. So I'm not really saying that, I apologize that I brought it this last second. But, we're all a little guilty of wanting something for our community in particular, but not willing to have the hard conversation of where the money's going to come from. Right. So I just thought I'd put that out there. And everyone wants something. So I don't know if it's last second or just an oversight or whatnot, but we do have to reflect on ourselves as well and then what we're asking for. But I'm okay with what this is.
So we have 7 of our 9 members of council here, and I'd like to put this to rest because obviously it's a discussion and there seems to be some disagreement on whether the 2.85 was clear direction, whether there was full conversation at the time that we had it about who wanted to be there and who was comfortable at the 3.6. So if there is a member of council that would like to make a proposed amendment to bring us back to the original 3.06, and they would need to also specify, that they would want to see the additional revenues placed into, at least we then have a vote and we know where the majority of council stands. And so.
Time. Sorry.
No, because that one, if the proposed amendment is to go back to 3.06, the revenue generated off of that is 40,000. I mean, it's not a
46.
lot. Is that about right?
46,700.
Okay, and then the direction would be just to put it into the community services reserve if it is about building community assets. That can be done, that amendment would be received. I would still, and council would still have the option to shorten the amendment period by resolution at the end of this meeting with that amendment either accepted or rejected. And I would still not exercise my veto power and shorten my veto period, so that the whole thing would just roll. So it would not necessarily impact the approval of the budget timeline wise. So I will ask the question, is there any member of council that wishes to propose an amendment to the budget as presented? Councillor Rivard.
Yes, thanks. Pretty much exactly what you said. The 3.06, if we could discuss and find either a project or just in reserves to try and stabilize us for reserves.
That was probably my mom. Sorry. Okay, so we have a proposed amendment on the table by Councillor Rivard. Do you need a seconder on that as well? Okay, I'll go Councillor Larrabee on that, please.
If I may, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
if it means having a pickleball court, I'm all for it. You know, that's what we're looking at, 8,000 to fix that court. So we're in that range. And we would be satisfying most of the people. I second.
Okay, but do you second it, moving it into reserve? Because the discussion at this time wasn't to assign it to
No.
any specific project, because that is a whole nother discussion. Okay, so seconded and so questions, any other questions or comments on the proposed amendment? I'll go to Councillor Ferran, if
Yeah.
you don't mind. Thank you.
Don't hear you.
You're on mute, George.
Keep it on.
Yeah.
Sound on the TV.
Yeah, we heard
Hold on.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because we could hear Dan before.
Oh, yeah. Still can't hear you, George. Or Councillor Ferran.
He's
Can
not on.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe type it in the chat. Oh,
It's not muted at my end.
One minute. Will be good at reading lips.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I was on, I didn't have the right microphone set up. Sorry about that. I just want to second what Councillor St. Louis said. It's unfortunate that this amendment was not brought, or this suggestion was not brought up when all 9 of us were at the table and doing the budget meeting. In my mind, we at the last budget meeting, we agreed that it was going to be 2.85, so I will be voting against the amendment.
Okay, thank you. Councillor St. Louis.
So through you, Madam Mayor, I understand what Conseil Duval and Conseil Larrabee are saying. However, we're also talking about $46,000 to put back into a reserve that we have, I believe, $1.some million in community service. I don't know. Again, to reiterate what I said before, we agreed on this. Staff were diligent at providing us and finding ways to bring it down so, you know, our taxpayers hopefully are comfortable. I know it's just a number, but believe me, I've been approached, and for the few that did approach me, the fact that we worked and staff worked at getting it done, they're happy with it. They're satisfied that we're showing at the very least some effort to alleviate, I don't even know if that's the right word, taxes on our residents and mostly our senior residents, right? So, and I mean, when we're at a time that everything is going up right now, groceries are going up, everything's going up. So why, if we can help them right now, then why not do so?
Okay.
That's all. Thank you, Madam.
Any other questions or comments on the proposed amendment? Counselor Nicol.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was 46,000, that's the number you said? And a lot of these projects were gonna be financed, right? The community services?
In the proposed projects that are in the workbook, the municipal contribution to the wharf and the municipal contribution to Goulart Park, like the ball diamonds, was going to be financed. Based on our discussion last Tuesday, the Verner building was reduced to kind of a bare minimum. If this council decides that it's actually going to do the full expansion at Verner, then yes, a portion of that will be financed as well, yes.
So then 46,000 won't really make a big difference if we're financing anyways, potentially?
On those projects, it would just be on whether there was consideration for additional projects, as Councilor Larrabee had stated.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing no other questions, I would put the proposed amendment to the vote. So the amendment being proposed is to have the tax increase at 3.06% with the additional revenue being directed to community services reserve. So all in favor? All opposed? Okay, so that is defeated. Okay, any other proposed amendments on the budget document as has been presented to you? Okay, with that, as stated, the clerk has prepared a resolution. If council is comfortable shortening the amendment period, I would do the same with my veto period, and it would be deemed.
We would need to have,
I need a mover and a seconder to, sorry.
I have movers. I need to know what the shortening period is.
Okay, so the, in the resolution, oh, sorry. George, do you have a question or are you moving?
I was gonna propose a resolution to shorten
Okay.
the period to 5 calendar days.
Okay, and that would begin Friday, so that means that the amendment period would be Wednesday at end of day, 4:30? Is that your intent?
Yes, so that would be the 31st of December 2025, correct?
No,
5 working.
it's calendar days and the timeline starts when the budget was issued. So the timeline begins as of Friday last.
Okay,
Friday that just passed, and so 5 days would bring us to Wednesday. We're at Monday now. It would bring us to Wednesday, December 24th at
Okay.
4:30.
that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so is everybody okay with that timeline? Okay, so I'll have the clerk read in the resolution.
Pursuant to section 284.16 and part 6 of the Municipal Act, assigns powers and duties with respect to proposing and adopting a budget to the head of council. And whereas subsection 7.4 of the Ontario Regulation 530-22 provides that council may adopt a resolution to shorten the 30-day period in which amendments may be proposed following the presentation of the proposed budget to council. And whereas the budget was delivered to all members of council, municipal clerk, and the public by posting it on the municipal website on December 19th, 2026, be it resolved that pursuant to the authority granted under subsection 284.164 of the Municipal Act and section 7.4 of Ontario Regulation 530-22, Council for the West Nipissing Municipality hereby agrees to shorten the 30-day period following the receipt of the proposed budget from the head of council from 30 days to 5 days.
Okay, questions or comments on the resolution? Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And the clerk will, and Ms. Craddock will be advising me on the steps I have to take in order to shorten the veto period so that we can have the budget deemed approved ASAP. Ready to go?
It is moved by Councillor Larrabee and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-110, being a bylaw of the municipality of West Nipissing to confirm the proceedings of council at its special meeting held on December 22nd, 2025, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, all in favor? Carried.
Moved by Councillor Larrabee and seconded by Councillor Rivard. Be it resolved that council special meeting held on December 22nd, 2025 be adjourned.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a Merry Christmas. I hope we won't see each other again because we've spent a lot of time together in December.